All right, so let's begin by davening that the zchut of our learning should help to bring home the hostages and protect our soldiers and Am Yisrael and all of the innocents and bring a speedy end to all of our conflicts.
Amen.
So, last time we were looking at the story that was brought in the Gemara and Brachot, and I said maybe we'll dive a little deeper into it, but I think we're gonna move on a bit. I found some other interesting comments on that story, but I think we'll have to leave it for another time. We did that as a kind of a digression on this issue of Yareg al Yavor. One of the discussions that I found actually is whether or not Rabbi Akiva was in the category of Yareg al Yavor. It gets technical and it has to do with things we learned in the Rambam here, which the Rambam based on the Gemara and Sanhedrin. But in order to more or less stay on track, we're going to continue here. And what I want to do is just do a little bit more in the Rambam. So what we discussed so far were under what circumstances someone is over below neharag, right? Somebody is supposed to transgress the Torah and not be killed. That's for most of the mitzvot in the Torah, but not for arayot, gilui arayot, shfichut damim, and avodah zarah. And we saw that it also breaks down based on circumstances, whether it's in public, whether it's not in public, whether the person who's demanding the Aveira is doing it for their own personal benefit, or are they doing it in order to transgress the Torah? And I said it would fit into a nice flow chart, which I had meant to make, but I didn't make it. So we're going to continue. And I said we were going to skip this particular halacha, but I think we'll do it. Just a second. Yeah, we're going to do this one and then maybe one or two more. So, Michael Werner, you were here first. You got to read first. So we're in the Rambam, Hilchot Yisodei Torah, Perek Hey, Halacha Hey, Nashim She'amru.
נשים שאמרו להם גויים, תנו לנו אחת מכם ונטמע אותה, ואם לאו עד נטמע את כולכם, יטמעו כולם, ואל ימסרו להם נפש אחת מישראל.
Okay, so what does this mean?
So women to whom it is said, and to whom the goyim say, give us one of you, and we will defile her. And if you don't, and if we don't.
If you don't, you're right. Being love, and if not,
we will defile you all. All of them should be defiled, and they should not give over a single soul from Israel.
Okay, so how does this fit into this question that we're talking about of Kiddush Hashem and Chilul Hashem that the Rambam is talking about here?
I would guess that it has. Well, it could fit I'd say the most obvious to me would be Glui Arayot, but it also, given that the word Yitma also suggests this could have something to do with Avodah Zarah, meaning that it's not just an issue, it's not just rape, but rape for cultic purposes.
Well, I wouldn't take that too far. No, so in other words, here what we see. So what did we see that Gilui Arayot is one of the things for which somebody is supposed to be Yahareg Ba'al Yavor. And so here we have a particular example. We have women who are confronted by Goyim, and they're given an ultimatum that they say, give over one of you to be defiled, in other words, to be raped. And if not, if you don't, then we'll rape all of you. And so the din is that they should all be raped. They should all allow themselves to be raped, and they should not give over one soul from Israel. So where's the Yahareg V'al Yavor? How is this similar?
Yeah, I think maybe they oh, I lost my train of thought. Oh, if they allow themselves to be raped, they're not committing a sin. But if they give over the one woman, that is a sin to deliver a woman over to the goyim.
Yeah, so it's introducing another aspect, which is this aspect of Mesirah, giving over somebody uh, to be, to be defiled. It would also be true if they were going to be killed. So that's the context, right? And here we'll see in the next one, Michael Schwartz, V'chein. Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking about the Judenrats who had to decide which person to install to save the other ones. According to this din, if you apply it to not to rape, but to life, to live, you are not allowed to do that.
You're not allowed to. So let's see. That's the next case.
Okay.
Michael Schwartz, V'chein.
V'chen im amru lehem goyim, tanu lanu echad micham, v'chem v'neherganu v'im lav neherog kulchem, yeharugu kulam v'al yimsor lehem nefesh echad misrael.
Okay, so go ahead. So
just a parallel case. And if the goyim say to them, give us one of you and we will kill them, and if not, we will kill all of you, you should allow yourself to be killed and not deliver the one soul.
yeah, so you see, it's also true in the case of Ritzicha, in the case of Retzach, that you're not allowed to give over anybody to be killed. Here it goes into a little more detail, and my screen is freezing. There we go. Okay. Paul, V'im yichduhu.
ואם ייחדוהו להם ואמרו תנו לנו פלוני, או נהרוג את כולכם, אם היה מחויב מיתה כשבע, מה זה? שבע בן
ביכרי.
אני לא מכיר. ייתנו אותו להם ואין מורין להם כל, כן, לכתחילה, ואם אינו חייב יהרגו כולם ואל ימסרו להם נפש אחת מישראל.
Okay, so what's this case?
I don't know who is
Here, one
who
second.
is
Sheva
Sheva Bechri.
ben Bichri, just a second. 1 second.
מה זאת אומרת, אם היה מחויב מיתה?
Hold
If
on.
he any way would die?
Hold on.
What does he mean?
Okay. Sheva ben Bichri. This is a story from Shmuel. Let me share a screen with you. So in Shmuel Perek Bet, Shmuel Bet, Perek Chaf, let's go back a little bit. Hmm. I should have prepared this more. But so here, I'm going to read. V'sham nikra ish b'liyal, shmo Sheva ben Bichri, ish yemini. So there was a man, right, an ish b'liyal, right? So like not a good person.
A bad person.
A bad person whose name was Sheva ben Bichri, who was from Ish Yemini. He came from the tribe of Benjamin. Right? ויתקע בשופר ויאמר אין לנו חלק בדוד ולא נחלה לנו בבן ישי איש לעולה בישראל. So he basically calls for rebellion against David. ויעל כל איש ישראל מאחרי דוד, אחרי שבע בן ביכרי, ואיש יהודה דבקו ומלכם מן הירדן ועד ירושלים. So כל איש ישראל, all the people of Israel went up from behind David to go after Sheva bin Bichri, and Ish Yehuda Davku v'Malkam, the people, in other words, the people in Yehuda, stuck by their king from the Jordan until Jerusalem, right? So Sheva ben Bichri is calling for a revolution, and it has now the potential for a real civil war. ויבוא דוד על ביתו, ירושלים ויקח המלך את 10 נשים וילגשים, אשר הניח לשמור הבית ויתנם בית משמרת ויחלקם ועליהם לובה ותהיינה צורות עד יום מותן אלמנות חיות. I'm not sure if we should go through this whole, you know what, I didn't mean to go through this whole story, but you know what, for the, everybody should look at this, the story here. It continues, and
it's a long story.
it's a long story, so you know what? I don't want to go into it. I and I hadn't prepared it. It's kind of a, it's an important point here, but it's kind of a side issue for us. So we'll go back to what the Rambam is saying if you want to find out more about Sheva ben Bichri. So
there's an it should have died.
Right. In other words, if the person that's being demanded by the goyim is somebody who is in any event chayav mita, is in any event liable to capital punishment, right? In other words, they're asking for someone in particular. The way the first cases are presented, they're presented, anonymously, as it were. They're just, it sounds like in the first case where the women are being approached by the goyim, that the goyim just they're giving them this ultimatum in a sense maybe just to terrorize them or to afflict them. So they say, give us one or we'll rape you all, or give us one to kill or we'll kill you all. But if in the case, the exception to this case would be if the person that they're demanding, if they're demanding a particular person, they're not just saying, give us somebody to kill or we'll kill you all. They're saying, give us Ploni, and we know that Ploni is in any event chayav mita.
So
Then
I'm guessing
let me
one second.
just you can guess, but just a second. Nuoto lahem. So then you should give him over. The Rambam here says, Ein morin lahem ken lechatchila, but we don't teach them this lechatchila. V'im eino chayav, and if the person is not in fact chayav mita, then yahagu kulam v'al yimsru lahem nefesh achat miYisrael. So this is these are based on sugyot that start in Trumot, and there's Yerushalmi that talks about it, and the Rambam introduces this idea, which I don't think we've come across in this shiur, about there's a concept of halacha ve'ein morin kain. There's such a thing as what's strictly speaking the proper halacha, but we don't paskin like this in a public way. But this gets into, as you see, we're getting into very difficult moral and ethical issues. Now, Michael Werner, what did you want to say?
I would I would think that it would make a difference whether the person is chayav mita, al yedei beit din or al yedei shemaim.
It might. You bring up a reasonable point. And like I said, we're not going to go into this now, but this, you can imagine, this is a very tricky area of halacha. It's a very difficult area of halacha. And it's brought in this context of Yareg ve'al Ya'avor, that what we get from it, Bigadol, let's say, without too much deep examination, is to say that we're not allowed to actively participate in these averot of avodas, like in the examples about Gilui Arayot and Shvichut Damim, but rather we would have to be passive and allow ourselves to be killed rather than to actively participate and to give over a Jew to goyim to be either raped or murdered. I'm going to leave it at that because, as I say, we can spend a long, long time on this whole issue. I wanted to bring it because of the flow in the Rambam, and I'm still having trouble with this having trouble with the browser, so I have to change browsers. Just a second, I'll switch you over. And okay. I apologize. Eric. All right, let's move on to Halacha Vav. So Michael Werner, go ahead. Ki inyan.
So I forgot to turn my microphone back on. Inyan she'amru be'ansin kach amru bachlaim
Bichalaim.
bechalaim ketzad mi shechala v'nata lamut ואמרו הרופאים שרפאותו בדבר הפלוני מאסורים שבתורה עשים לו. ומתנפים בכל איסורים שבתורה במקום סכנה, חוץ מעבודה זרה, גילוי עריות ושפיכות דמים, שאפילו במקום סכנה אין מתרפים בהם. ואם עבר ונתרפא, עונשים אותו בית דין עונש הראוי לו.
Okay. So let's go back. Inyan.
In the case that in the case where it is said,
Not in the case, it's Inyan. Like
the principle, like
the matter or like the case. Like
the case in which it is said, and I don't know that word.
So anasin, but shamru be'anasin. From the root, what's the root?
Anas.
Anas. And what's anas?
It's to force or to rape. I don't
To
know.
force or to rape.
Okay, right. It's
Okay,
like the case that okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the case, right, in rape.
Or
like,
in this case, I would just say it's for generally being forced. In other words, in this context, we have this idea that someone is being forced by a non-Jew to transgresses of people who are being forced. So did they say by the chalaim, by people who are sick. We would say cholim. It's a different form of the same word, right? We kachamru becholim, but the form the Rambam is using is a more classical form, bechalaim. So the same way that we said by anasin.
So too we say about sick people.
Okay, so ketzad. So how does that work?
Somebody who is sick and is close to death, and the physicians that are healing that are healing.
Well, no, Ruha Rofim. The physician said, "Shevifuato."
Oh, his cure, his healing of the thing.
No, shevifuato b'davar ploni.
That the cure of a certain person's thing, illness,
No,
I'm assuming.
No.
Okay, then I'm butchering this.
Yeah, it's okay. But here, Paul, shevifuato b'davar ploni. What does that mean?
That it can be healed in a certain way.
Mm-hmm. With a certain thing, right?
With a certain thing, yes.
Me asurin shebatorah.
If you need to do something, some procedure to heal him, but this procedure is prescribed.
Proscribed.
prescribed by the Torah.
right? Then
You are
what's
not,
the,
you're not allowed to do this procedure to cure him.
well, so wait, he says, "Amru arufim shavuto b'davar ploimi asurim shabatorah." Then what's the din?
You nevertheless do it,
Oh,
although
right.
it's
Osin lo.
yeah, okay.
Okay. So in other words, in other words, what would be a case? So let's say somebody is sick and the prescription is they have to eat bacon.
Okay.
Okay. I mean,
Mhm.
for whatever reason. But we'll see. There are other interesting things. And actually, we saw some of this already in the Mishnah. We learned the Mishnah in the eighth parak of Yoma. So in that case, osinlo, we do it for him. In other words, why would we do it for him? So there we'll say the chai behem kicks in, and the Torah says that in this case you should be over rather than die, right? So
To save a life, you are allowed to transgress the Torah.
right. So this is the case that we're talking about. So because the case says it introduces mi shechala, somebody who became ill, v'nata lamut, and was leaning toward death. So we're afraid that if he's not treated properly, he will die. So in that case, then the Torah permits for somebody to use or to be fed or to have some kind of benefit from things that the Torah otherwise prohibits.
To be transported to hospital, something.
For example, there are many, right? There are many instances, right? So, right. So you would also,
On Shabbat.
right? So you would be allowed to take somebody to the hospital on Shabbat. You would be allowed to drive them there. You would be allowed to do all kinds of things for them to keep them from dying. Michael, I'll let you go back and continue. Mitrapin. You're muted again.
He is
Mitrapin.
he's healed.
Well, okay.
Okay. He's healed.
It's not he is healed, but mitrapin, we heal. All right, we bring about healing.
We bring about healing using all of the prohibited acts or things in the Torah in a situation of danger, except for avodah zara, galui, ariot, and shefechut damim. And in those cases, even in a situation of danger, we do not heal using them. And if one transgresses and heals, we punish the person. The Beit Din punishes the person with the punishment that is the applicable punishment.
Right, that's the fitting punishment. Okay, so again, it's the same principle that we have regarding other acts in the Torah, that in general we say over v'al yehareg b'makom sakana, and that applies to sick people. But yehareg v'al yavor, when it comes to avodah zara, gilui arayot, shfichut damim. And now Michael Schwartz, uminayin.
Uminayim she'afilam ha'makom sakana nafshot ein ovrim al echad mishalos averot ilu shenamar v'havtet Adonai Elohecha v'kol levavecha v'kol nafshecha v'kol miyudecha ve'efilu hu notel et nafshecha v'harigat nefesh miYisrael l'rofei nefesh acheret or lahatzil adam miyad anas davar shehadat notel lohu shein ma'abdim nefesh mipnei nefesh. The Ariot huksha lenefeshot shenamar ki kasher yukam ish harehu v'ratzchu nefesh kol hadavar hazeh.
Ein hadabar hazeh. Okay. So, okay, so explain this. I can make it a little bigger. Uminayin, right?
Okay.
So
From where that even in a place of danger of the danger of the soul, that they don't transgress one of those three transgressions, three sins, it is written, and you shall love the Lord Hashem your Lord in with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your means. Philo, who even if he even to take his soul.
okay, I want to stop there for a second. So last week when we were doing this in the Gemara, Afilu notelet nafshecha. So this is the drasha according to Rabbi Akiva, who essentially agrees with Rabbi Eliezer, right? So Rabbi Eliezer was the one who said that if you have a person whose life is more dear to them than their wealth, so that's why it says b'chol nafshecha. And if you have a person whose wealth is more dear to them than their life, that's why it says b'chol me'odecha. And Rabbi Akiva says afilu notel et nafshecha, which is essentially is in line with that part of Rabbi Eliezer. And I was listening back to the shir, and I think I made a mistake by saying afilu notel et nafshecha, that he even in that context we thought maybe it meant even if the non-Jew is trying to take your life. But it really means is if God is taking your life, afilu notel et nafshecha, right? Because ultimately, it's God who decides when you live and when you die, and that's the way the Rambam is bringing it here as well. That's I think the better shot. In any event, continue. V'harigat nefesh.
Harigat nefesh, the killing of a soul from Israel to cure soul acher, as another soul, or to rescue a person from a situation which they're being forced. It's a thing that I'm not sure who Dr. Notat that is known
Shehadat notalohu.
that his opinion
That
shi-
the,
his
not necessarily his opinion, v'adat. In other words, that you could say here that common sense, in other words, reason
okay,
would lean this way. Shehadat
towards this.
notalohu. That what?
Since
What's go ahead, she'en.
Shane Mavadim said we don't destroy one soul in front of another soul, in place
Right.
of another soul.
In place of right. So this is the Rambam summarizing the story that we had in our Gemara, where the person comes to Rabbah and says that Mari Durai, right, told me to go and kill Ploni, or if not, I'll be killed. And Rabbah says to him, what do you see that your blood is redder than his? Maybe his blood is redder than yours, which is just another way of saying what the Rambam is saying, that Adat Nota, a simple, a plain reasoning would bring us to this conclusion that one person's life isn't more important than another person's life, that all lives would be considered equal, and so therefore the Rambam is implying that that's how I know that you don't kill someone in order to save somebody else's life. And the last one, Ba'arayot.
Biariot, who show the sexual sins are compared to lives, to souls, to lives, as it is written, whenever a man shall rise up on his fellow man and murder his soul, such as this thing.
Okay, so the Rambam here, this is the the truth is I did most of this parak just to get to this halacha. This is the Rambam's summary of that part of the sugya that we have in Yoma, where it talks about these three averot, and the Gemara wants to know, right? Our Gemara wanted to know, how do I know that these three? What's the source to tell me that these three things are Yareg Al Yavor? So for um, uh, for Avodah Zarah, we learn it from V'ahavta, right? From Afilu Notel et Nafshecha, Ritzicha, I learned Ritzicha because it makes sense that you wouldn't kill somebody in order to save somebody else's life. And Arayot, I Hekesh with Ritzicha. That's the Rambam.
He doesn't consider the case
Paul,
where there's.
continue.
Yes,
Bamed Varim Amurim.
No, I want just to say that he doesn't consider what's today called the trolley problem, when there are more than one person to be saved by that one person can choose
Well,
to
the
die
trolley
to
problem
save several other persons.
was halacha hey. He did
Yes.
he did the trolley. Okay, so wait a second. So I know, but he did. Can you hear Paul?
I hear, yes,
Paul
more or
froze.
less. Yeah.
You hear me now? So
Okay.
yeah, so the trolley problem is that you have a person who's standing at the switch for the rail, right, for the trolley.
Mhm.
And if he pulls the switch, the trolley will go onto one track and it'll kill somebody.
Mhm.
If he doesn't pull the switch, it'll go straight and it'll kill many people.
Mhm.
And so what should he do? But the basic trolley problem, that was halacha hey. That's essentially the problem that's presented in halacha hey. What if somebody comes to you and says, give us one person or we'll kill all of you? It's a variation of the trolley problem. We do consider it, but we're not here to. I'm not going to go into all the ramifications of that because, as you see, look, all of these are very difficult problems, and again, it's going to the things there. All of these things that the Rambam are saying, right? He's paskening based on the Gemara and on the Yerushalmi, and in any given real life case, all the circumstances would have to be taken into consideration. And as we saw already, that there are many permutations and there are many aspects to each of these questions. So I would say yes, he already considered the basic trolley problem. That's the question of Metzira.
Yeah, there's also this circumstance that one person could sacrifice his own life to save several other lives, like these soldiers were
Yes.
ששוכבים על הרימון, כן.
So this is right. So the thing with the trolley problem is that the person at the switch isn't sacrificing their own life; they're deciding other people's lives.
Other people's lives, yes.
Right. In the case with the nashim that are approached by the goyim, they can either actively do something to give over one of them, or they can passively do nothing and be killed. And in certain things in halacha, we say sheva al taseh, right? We already had it in we have sheva al taseh is a principle of why we fast on Yom Kippur. It's a passive fasting. We don't have to actively go out and afflict ourselves. We don't have to go out if Yom Kippur is particularly hot. We don't have to go out and sit in the sun to be afflicted by the sun. So Sheva Al Taseh has ramifications and has ramifications here as well. In any event, but here in Halacha Zayin, the one that we just did before, oops. So the Rambam, again, he's just giving us the source. This is based on the discussion in the Gemara. But now let's continue. Bamed Varim Amurim. Paul, go ahead.
באמת דברים אמורים שאין מתחפים בשאר איסורים אלא במקום סכנה בזמן שהן דרך
הנאתן.
הנאתן, כמו שמאכילים את החולה, שקצים ורמסים,
רמסים.
או חמץ בפסח, או שמאכילים אותו ביום הכיפורים, אבל שלא דרך הנאתן, כגון שעושים לו רטייה, או
או
מלוגם.
מלוגמה.
מלוגמה מחמץ או מעורלה, או שמשקים אותו דברים שיש בהם מר מעורב עם איסורי מאכל, שהרי אין בהם הנייה לחך, הרי זה מותר, ואפילו שלא במקום סכנה, חוץ מכלאי הכרם ובשר בחלב, שהן אסורים אפילו שלא דרך הנאתן. לפיכך אין מתרפין בהם אפילו שלא דרך הנאה, אלא במקום סכנה. Wow, that's complicated.
Okay, so yeah, but let's go through this. So, במה דברים אמורים?
What do we mean by this? That you don't heal with using other transgressions, except in case of danger.
Well, and by Sha'ar Isurin, other Isurin, what does he mean? What does he mean, other Isurin?
Isurim, which are not the three Isurim which
not the three big ones. Yes.
The big ones. Yeah.
Okay. So he's going back to what he said earlier. So he said, so because he said you're allowed, right, that refuah for a cholesh b'sakana has essentially the same din as over v'al yehareg. So you give people, you allow them to be over in order to save their lives. So he's saying, when does that happen? When do we do that? Bizman
שהן דרך, מה זה בא מהנאה או משהו? מה זה נהנתן או משהו?
Yeah, דרך הנאתן, דרך הנאה שלהם. הנאתן, from הנאה.
Okay.
Right? So when it's the way that you would normally benefit or take benefit from them. כמו.
בזמן שהן דרך, the usual way you eat them or use them anyway. כמו שמאכילים את החולה, as for instance when you feed the sick person, שקצים ורמסים.
Right. So in other words, maybe the doctors prescribe that they have to eat things that the Torah forbade to eat, like shkatzim or remasim, right? Different kinds of vermin or creepy crawly things that the Torah forbids us from eating. Oh.
Or chametz b'Pesach. This is more. This you can understand.
This is more palatable to you. Well, but the thing is, first of all, we're not here to judge, the state of medicine at the time of of Chazal. But I'm just saying. But the truth is, we certain types, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, there's certain snake venoms or animal venoms that we derive medicines from, for example. And this is not my area of expertise, but those would be in the category of shkatzim or ramasim, and we wouldn't be allowed to have that. But if they're there for the purpose of refuah, then it comes into this discussion, right? O chametz b'Pesach. Oh,
It kill a medication which is chametz, and this happens a lot here.
yes.
או שמאכילים אותו ביום הכיפורים, או ש...
Okay, so in
all
other
that,
words, what, right, even if
is
you have to feed them on Yom Kippur,
on Yom Kippur, yeah.
so whether the Isur is the food itself, or the Isur is the eating, because today is Yom Kippur, even if you're eating things that are completely kosher. But on Yom Kippur, all foods become Asur. So regardless, so let's just tidy this up again. So when do we, 1 second, when do we say these things that we don't heal someone with other Isurin except in a place of sakana, except in a condition where the person is in danger of dying? So when do we say that? If when they're yeah, go ahead.
If you, in the case that you are going to eat them, the normal way we would do it, but if an injection, this doesn't. Is this what he means?
So we'll see. Well, exactly. In other words, so bisman shehen derech hana'atan. So this is talking about a case where we're talking about a case when the person who is being healed is going to use or consume the davar ha'asur in a way that they normally would, the way that they normally derive benefit from it.
By drinking, eating, and so on.
So in the cases that he's bringing, that would be for drinking and eating. Aval
but you
shalot.
use,
Go ahead.
If it is an injection or if you some
Well, you don't have to
cream
add
or
your own
something
words.
like
Let's
this.
just see the Rambam about shalot derech hana'atan. What does the
אבל
Rambam
שלא
say?
דחתם, כגון שעושים לו רתיעה. רתיעה is what you put on the eye.
So Ritiyah and Melugma are different
Melugma.
kinds of bandages or presses. So in other words, you would take, let's say you take the davar ha'asur and you make maybe you make it into an infusion, and then you have to, let's say, put that on a wound.
A poultice.
A poultice, for example. Right? So let's say if that's the way that you're going to use the davar asur, that's, and he gives, for example, mechametz, meaning chametz on Pesach, or orla, right? Some orla, something that is asur mishum orla at any time. Oh,
if it's less than 3 years.
If it's less than 4 years.
4 years, a fruit which comes from an...
Right, so maybe you you need a particular, maybe you need olives or something, but they're the only ones you have are orla, and you need to make a retiyah from them. So that would be okay if it's to save somebody's life. Oh, well, here about.
אותו דברים שיש בהם מר מעורב עם אסורי מאכל, or that you let him drink something. Is a tipa? Is a drop?
Mar just means davar mar. It's something that's bitter.
What? מעורב עם איסורי מאכל. Something bitter which is mixed with food which is forbidden to consume. שהרי אין בהם הניה לחך. That you don't have any pleasure for what do you say, the palate?
For your palate.
Palate. Yeah. הרי זה מותר, this is allowed. אפילו שלא במקום סכנה, and even if it's not in case of danger, חוץ מכלאי הכרם ובשר בחלב.
So in other words, all isurin, if you're using them for refuah, if you're administering them in a way that the person, that's not like the way the person would normally derive benefit from them. So, for example, either maybe it's something that they don't consume, but something that you have to make a poultice to put on the body. Or maybe it is something they consume, but you added something bitter to the mixture so that they won't enjoy it, right? You throw something in it to make it unenjoyable, but it will still have it'll still have the medicinal properties that you need. In those cases, that's permitted. Afilu shelo b'makom sakana, even if the person's life is not in danger, but they're sick, but their life isn't in danger, but you're allowed to use these methods to cure them or to administer medicine to them. And then Paul, that would include, the Rambam didn't have injections, but that would include injections. So you could take something from a source that's asur, let's say from lo yodeh, from a pig, and you made some kind of or from the snake's venom or whatever it is, and you make a medicine from that to inject. That's not derech hana'atan. That's not a way that people normally benefit from those things or consume those things. So that would all be permitted, except in the case of kilai hakerem or basar b'chalav, right? So kilai hakerem, when you have different species, certain agricultural species that get planted too close together in a vineyard, then the fruits become asur, or basar b'chalav, meat and milk. In those cases, shehen asur nefil shelo derech hanatan. The Torah goes out of its way to say that you're not allowed to benefit from those things, even shelo derech hanatan, even not in the way you normally would benefit from them.
That's strange. Why should basar v'chalav be
There's a special drasha.
more severe than to use the venom of a snake? I don't. That's very strange.
The Torah goes out of its way to say that you're not allowed to benefit from basar b'chalav. In other words, other isurim, the Torah allows you to benefit from them. This isn't a blanket rule, but in many other instances. So you can, let's say you're not allowed to. I keep coming back to pork, right? You're not allowed to eat pork, but you're allowed to buy and sell pork. Right? In other words, you could make money off of pork, or you could take the fat from an animal that's not kosher and turn it into tallow to burn a candle or as fuel. Right? You're allowed. There's certain things that you're allowed to do, or you can. Michael Werner, do we still have you? Okay. But the Torah goes out of its way in the case of kilaya karen, in the cases of kilaya karen, basar b'chalav, that you're not allowed to derive any benefit from them, even if you don't consume them, even if you don't eat them, you're not allowed to derive benefit from them. So, right, even if you wanted to burn them, you can't burn them and use that to heat your house, for example. Okay, in any event, lefikach ein mitrapin behen afilu shelo derech hana'ah el b'makom sakana. Therefore, in these cases of kilaya karen basar b'chalav, then we're not allowed to benefit. We're not allowed to use them for healing, even not by their normal way of benefiting, except b'makom sakana, except to save somebody's life. Right, so they do fit into that category.
So you can mix chalav with basar if you have to save the life of somebody.
To save the life of somebody, exactly. Just a second. Okay, I think I'm going to leave the rest. Everybody is encouraged to read the rest of the parak yourself, and here they have translation. If you get stuck reading, they have a nice translation. But I think for now, let's go back to in the last part of today's session. Let's at least start the next sugya.
Just to go back to our original text, it sounds like this actually seems to be related to the case the Meobora, the pregnant woman. Where we first feed her using something that does not either doesn't involve the same kind of hana'a or the same or no hana'a at all.
Yeah, so and in fact we'll come back to that just a moment. Oh, okay, I'm on. Yeah, all right. Yeah, so you're right. If you remember the way our sugya began, right? So we had the case of the Ubarashe Richa. We're now going to come back to the case of Ubarashe Richa. In the beginning of the sugya, actually, let's take a moment. Let's reread the Mishnah. So, Michael Werner, Ubarashi Richa. I'll make it bigger. 1 second.
Ubara sheharicha. Me'achlin ota ad shetashiv nafsha. Hole me'achlin oto al pi beki'in. Ve'im ein shem beki'in. Me'achlin oto al pi atzmo. Ad she'yamar dai.
Okay, so you'll tell us what all this means.
So a pregnant woman who smells something, and we feed her until her spirit is settled. And a sick person, we feed him according to the judgment of medical practitioners.
You're ad-libbing, but we did this. You should know what bikiyin means.
Experts.
Yeah.
Okay. And if there are not experts there, we feed him until he, according to his own judgment, until he says enough.
Right, according to him, it was according to what he says, which, okay, ad she'yamar dai, until he says enough. And then we had this case in the Braita, which is what you were referring to a moment ago, so we can read that again. Michael Schwartz, Ubara shehiricha.
Tanan Rabbanan, Ubara shericha basar kodesh or basar chazir, tochvin la kush barotev, umanechim la al piha. Im nit yashva data mutav, ve'im lo ma'klin ota rotev itzma. Ve'im nit yashva data mutav, ve'im lo ma'klin oto shomin itzmo. She'en lecha davar she'omed bifnei pekuach nefesh, chutz me'avadat zara, gilur ariyot, v'shvikot damim.
Okay, so tell us what all this means.
So a pregnant woman that smells consecrated meat or the meat of a pig, we dip a stick into the sauce and we place it on her mouth. If it settles her mind, okay. And if not, we feed her some of the sauce itself, some of the liquid. If it settles her mind, okay. And if not, we feed her some of the fat itself. Since there's nothing that stands between the saving of a life except for idol worship, sexual transgressions and spilling blood.
Okay. So then the Gemara here, then it digressed on this last part of the Braita to say Avodah Zarah Minan. How do I know that I'm Yareg Val Yavor for Avodah Zarah? And how do I know for Gilu Arayot Ushpichut Damim? And that's what we're up to now. So all of what we've done for, I don't know, the last few weeks was focusing on this parenthetical part of the Gemara. But now we're back, we're continuing in the sugya that we began. So Paul, why don't you read Hahi Ubara Da'archa?
Ahi ubara da'archa ito
Ato. Atu. Atu.
atu lekamya derabi amar lahu oleh zila lechusho la diyoma de kippurehu lechusho la ve'ilchisha קרי עליה בטרם אצרח בבטן אצרח
Etzarcha.
אצרחה בבטן ידיעתך
Yidaticha.
ידיעתך
Here we
וגומר.
have the pasuk. B'terem atzarcha v'beten yidaticha. V'terem tetzei merechem ikdashticha. Navi l'goyim netaticha. Right? This is what Hashem.
אצרחה בבטן.
Right. So
אוקיי.
this is what Hashem says to Yirmiyahu when he's appointing him to be a prophet. Okay, but let's see. So,
He was
right.
already created before he was born.
Yes, right. B'terem atzarcha, before you were created, babeten, in the belly, in other words, your mother's belly, I knew you. In other words, I vote you. So we'll come back to that in minutes. And then Nafik mina Rabbi Yochanan. So this is mostly Aramaic, so I'll help everybody out here. So Hahi ubarada archa. So that woman who was pregnant, the archa, that smelled something, right? Shehiricha. Atu, right? Atu l'kamei de Rebbe. They came before Rebbe. Amar lahu. He said to them, Zilu, go, l'chushula. Whisper to her. The Yoma de Kippurehu. Whisper to her that today is Yom Kippur. L'chushula, they whispered to her, V'ilchisha. This is a very interesting grammatical form, right? They whispered to her, and it's from the same root. Ilchisha means that she accepted the whisper. They whispered to her, and she was whispered. We don't have a word for that in English, right? But they whispered to her, and she accepted what they whispered. Kari aleh, so they read about her. There's a pasuk that fits what happened to her, and that's this pasuk of B'terem. And what was the result? Nafak mina Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan came out of her. In other words, she was pregnant at that time, and her son grew up to be Rabbi Yochanan. So this is the story. This is the first story of Ubarash de Richa. So in this case, she did not even get to the point where they brought something and put to her lips. But let's go back. Let's put it together. Hahid ubrada archa. So there was a woman who was pregnant who smelled. What did she smell? And when did it? And when?
Just food in general on Yom Kippur.
Right. So she smelled food on Yom Kippur, and what happened? What happened to her?
Her spirit was unsettled. That's
Yeah, apparently yes, yeah, very good. Those are the terms that we have. So something, she became presumably agitated, and we know from the Mishnah that she is in this special category because she is pregnant, that we're concerned for the well-being of her and for the well-being of the fetus. So they went before Rebbe. So people went and asked Rebbe what we should do. Meaning what? What do they want to know?
Do we feed her on even though it's Yom Kippur?
Yeah, basically they're asking if we should feed her. So he says to them, he doesn't say that right away to feed her. What does he say?
Whisper to her that it's Yom Kippur.
And then they did that. And then she accepted that, meaning what? Like in terms of her condition.
Her spirit was settled.
Apparently, her spirit was settled to the extent that she didn't feel that she had to eat anymore. And then we have this sort of nice epilogue to the story, which is that the son that she bore from that pregnancy turned out to be Rabbi Yochanan. Let's read the next one, right? Who read that? Okay, Michael Werner, Hahi Ubara.
Lahiobar, Darcha, Otol,
Atu.
Atu, Lakmia, and Dar, Divrei, Hanina,
Okay,
the Rabbi Hanina.
yeah, I also want to say it's Likame. In
Likame.
general, I think we said this, but I'll repeat it. When you're in Aramaic and you see a Yud Hey ending, it's generally the male possessive. It's in place of a vav in Hebrew, and it's pronounced. There's a tsere under the letter before, so it's atu. They came, likame, lifanav. That's what it means. So it's not likamya, it's likame. All right. In any event, amar lehu.
Amalehu, Amalehu, Lechusho, La Velo, Ilchisha, Kare, Ale, Zaro, Rishaim, Merachem, Nefak, Mine, Shibete,
Shabtai.
Shabtai, Etzer, Piri,
Okay, atzar pirei.
Etzer Piri.
It's okay. I'm forcing you to do more than, normal because I don't but that's how you learn. Okay, so what happened here? Most of this you should be able to translate now. Hahi ubara da archa. What does that mean?
There was a pregnant woman that spelled food, presumably.
Yeah. So, what it means is hahi ubara. That particular pregnant woman, hahi. Okay. That she smelled, as you said, she smelled food. And when was it?
It was before maybe in the
No,
time.
no. When did it happen?
I'm going to say Yom Kippur.
Presumably, it's also right in the context. Presumably, this was also in Yom Kippur, right? So then, Atul Kamei de Rabbi Hanina. What does that mean?
They went before Rabbi Hanina to ask him, presumably to ask him, do we feed her or not?
Okay. Amar lahu.
And he said to them, they said, whisper to her, uh,
Mhm.
whisper to her, and they
Not they.
and
They.
the and her and she's not said, or she's not whispered.
Right. So in other words, they whispered to her, "Velo ilchisha." She didn't accept what they whispered to her. And then Kari Aleh, so they read this pasuk about her, Zoru She'im Meirechem.
So from the seed of the wicked, distance yourselves.
No, Zoru means it's from the Lashon of Zar. The Zera is with an ayin.
No, okay.
Okay, Zoru She'im Meirechem, that evil people have become estranged from the womb. Ta'umi beten dovrei chazav, that they have gone off the path from the belly, those who speak false. In other words, bad people from somebody was bad from the time they were born. This is in contrast to the beter matzarcha bebetin yadaticha. And nafak mine, what is nafak mine? Should be nafak mina, but nafak mine, the same thing it meant up here. Nafak mina, what did it mean here?
Okay, so
Just what do the words mean? Nafak mina. What's nafak?
Was born from her.
Yeah. Okay.
Came from her.
Came from her. Nafak means to go out.
Okay.
Right? So who came out from her? Shabtai atzar feiring. Shabtai, who hoarded fruit. And we're gonna go through these a little bit more next time, with Rashi. But here I'll just bring you from Rashi explains that Tzarferi lahafkia sharim. He hoarded fruit. In other words, he hoarded produce in order to raise the price in the market. And Vitanya, we learn in a Braita in Baba Batra, Einotzin perot be'eretz Yisrael. You're not allowed to hoard produce in Israel for that reason. In other words, you're not allowed to hoard a particular commodity in order to make the price go up. The kol davar shu chai nefesh, not just fruit, but anything that is needed for people to survive, you're not allowed to hoard. Lefi shemafkiim et hasharim, because you exaggerate the rates in the market. So this woman who did not accept the lechisha, right? She didn't accept what they were whispering to her, that it's Yom Kippur, and presumably then she did eat. Then who was the result of her pregnancy? This evil fellow, Shabtai Atzar Peri, Shabtai who hoarded fruit. Okay, so this is just a quick reading. We'll go through this a little bit more next time, and we'll continue. And that we're going to get a little bit further into the specifics, which have practical ramifications even now for people who are sick on Yom Kippur, and how do you consult, and how do we decide if there's differing opinions, and so forth. So some of this was alluded to in the Mishnah. We're going to go into it more deeply next time. That's it for now, but any last questions or comments? Okay, so you all know this very well.
I wouldn't go that far, but we're working.
Stumbling in more or less the right direction.
Well,
בריאות טובה לכולם.
אמן, אמן. טוב.
שלא נזדקק.
כן, שלא נדע מצרות. טוב, I'll see you, God willing, next week.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye bye. Good night.
Bye bye.
Or good day. Yes.